I know you came prepared tonight to hear a talk about our opioid crisis, and I am so sorry to disappoint because it is so much worse, very, very starkly worse, more ugly than just the opioid crisis. This is a problem of addictable brains, addictable human brains. But I will also leave the stage tonight with some very, very hopeful news. And I can't do this alone, so I've enlisted the help of 4 colleagues to assist me in this effort. First, I'd like to introduce the founder of Shine a Light on Heroin, the organization he founded in 2014. This is Marine teacher, mentor, passionate activist, and football coach Jim Spellman. Coach has attended 40 funerals. To be precise, 37 of his former students and student athletes, and 3 of their children. Jim courageously went solo in January of 2017 to Afghanistan. He had independently researched the topic after all those funerals, and he wanted to fact check and verify, to bear witness firsthand that 85 to 90% of the opium poppy is grown on farms there, what he describes as the source. It was his phone call to me in August of 2016 that started our personal relationship renewal and my renaissance. I'd like you to take a pause for a moment. Take in the slide, inspire it as a gestalt. Here presented are the ugly statistics, and to the right, I've included some comparator death rates. But I don't want you to focus on those for now. You'll have them in the slide sets. I want you to focus on 2017, when 72,000 US citizens died of opioid and narcotic overdoses in the United States. And that despite falling prescription writing since 2011 by healthcare providers. Ladies and gentlemen, the basement mixologists and the synthetic kitchen chemists are winning. But that stops tonight. Is this a war? Is this an epidemic, a pandemic, a crisis, a scourge, a tragedy, a disaster, a cataclysm, a catastrophe? Is it any of these or all of these? And rhetorically, has our response as a nation, as a developed nation, been proportionate, integrated, sufficient, and effective? Tonight, for the very first time on any stage on the planet, I would like to present a new idea, which I call SADS, Psychoactive Addictable Disorder Spectrum. To the list on your left are all the chemicals of potential use, misuse, abuse, and yes, addiction. From caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol right down to cocaine, heroin, and LSD. But also carefully look at the other right-hand column. There are behaviors that can be influencing our addictable brains. Money, gambling, power, and fame are some examples. The bad news, highlighted in yellow, is the opioid component out of all of this entire model. My second assistant tonight, which I will introduce, is my brain and yours. For 36 years, this was my favorite structure in the body: bone, osseous tissue, fractures, the operative interventions that could be used to help in its healing, and most importantly, functional recovery. But what's hidden under the vault, much, much more fascinating. And now, my life's purpose. For your later referencing, I've included some amazing facts about this learning instrument, this organ of impressive mutation. But I don't want to focus on all of that. What I want to focus on are the facts that we were not privy to when I went to medical school. This brain is whole and interconnected. It has stem cells for rejuvenation, a lymph system for waste evacuation, a selective blood-brain courier membrane, and it can rewire and heal itself for an entire brain span. Note well, there are also 7.5+ billion of these on the planet. Talk about spacious. Talk about capacity. Talk about market penetration. But the question is, why is such a well-designed organ so fundamentally vulnerable, so addictable, especially in the pruning years around adolescence? Let me take you through some facts. The novelty-seeking and reward pathways are communicated to internally by dopamine. The brain is a biophysical structure. It obeys natural laws like pathways of least resistance and the law of conservation of its energy and resources. Oh no, it is not lazy. It is extremely competent. Two facts you need to take away as my message tonight. The first, the brain produces its own dopamine intrinsically, internally, what we refer to as endogenously, or it can get dopamine stimulation exogenously, that is extrinsically or from the outside. The second point is because it is maximally adept at determining how to save its own resources metabolically, if dopamine can be supplied or stimulated from the outside, that's the preference. And what happens? Mikey likes it. Enjoyment happens, followed by habituation, tolerance, dependence, and addiction, inexorably and relentlessly. And the time it takes for the brain to heal itself once that occurs is slow and painstaking, depending on the dose and the duration. But it can heal. Let's return to that bad model one more time with a different highlighting. It looked overwhelming in the beginning, but what I've highlighted here are the elements within the model of hope and agency, prevention, health promotion, renormalization, and recovery. This is based on sound science called neuroplasticity, the exogenously addictable brain returning to normal function and healing. And please remember, this occurs for the entire brain span. You know, I'm getting a sense of skepticism. I see some folks that want a little more proof of concept. My third helper tonight is George Walker. George dropped out of college, became addicted to every single item that he could get his hands on that was potential for abuse. He lived in the New York City subway system, homeless, panhandling commuter tokens. 13 years he was imprisoned. 2 fatherless families, always wondering whether he was going to return, drop back in, whether he might in fact be dead. And then something happened at age 50. His realization, quote, "Addiction is a young person's game." His prefrontal, cortically hacked, hijacked, hooked, circuit sabotaged, derailed, exogenously dysregulated brain stopped. At age 50, he returned to college, master's degree completed, a counselor to others, a PhD dissertation success, father, author, and now a burgeoning stigmatization expert. Now his life is his endogenously auto-stimulated high. During the last 600 seconds or so, I have changed your brains too. Uplearning, some new information, curiosity satisfying, executive functions broadening, maybe some deeper questions, all prefrontal cortical stimulants. Yes, I have. But have I changed your mind? Can you see within the SADS model a way out of this opioid-induced crisis? So I'm a futurist, and we have a technique. So let's imagine for a minute utilizing that technique. What if? What if we took our prefrontal cortices, all of them operating very well right now, and created a postfrontal metaconsciousness extracranially? What if we ignited a movement where we took our best knowledge and replaced the just say no 1980 Nancy Reagan, Madison Avenue preaching to next say KNOW, no, using our best information? This would create a bold, mind-spacious, abundant, positive, virtual, and real co-creation by deliberative design. And we could do it by putting our critical thinking hats on our open minds. We have the tools, we have the skills, we have the daunting problems. The question is, do we have the community, the human will, the universal caring, and the humanity to pull this off? Do we collectively and distributively on the globe, as humans with that brain, have the ability to integrate, execute sapiently upon our collective bests now? I say unequivocally, yes. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but on this stage, on this TED platform, with this august audience, I guarantee you, I am not the only one. I would like to thank Coach, my brain. I would like to thank George Walker for permission to use his story, and John Lennon. But I would like to thank you all much more than that for your kind attention and your profound consideration. Thank you.